Plant 1. Calendula, the war flower. Medieval soldiers went to war with no surgeon, no antibiotics, no sterile equipment, just this flower. They called it the war flower because when you had absolutely nothing else, calendula could keep a wound from going septic. That's pretty insane for a flower. And it's not just some old wives' tale. The petals are loaded with triterpenoids and flavonoids, genuine anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial compounds. A clinical trial on second-degree burn patients found significant wound improvement by day 14, and the European Medicines Agency has officially certified it safe for skin inflammations, minor wounds, and mouth irritation. Infuse the dried flowers in oil, stir in some beeswax, and you've got a homemade salve that handles cuts, scrapes, burns, and angry skin better than most things you'd buy at a pharmacy. Plant it once and it self-seeds every year. Free medicine, forever. Too good to be true, right? Stick around because Plant 4 fights bacteria your doctor's strongest antibiotics can't kill. And it's been doing it for 2,000 years. Plant 2, Yarrow, the soldier's herb. The Latin name gives this one away immediately. Achillea millefolium, named after Achilles. Yeah, that Achilles. Legend says he handed this herb to his warriors so they'd heal faster on the battlefield. Soldiers for centuries after that carried dried yarrow to pack directly into wounds. They called it soldier's woundwort, nature's plaster. Pretty metal for a wildflower. Now here's what makes yarrow kind of unfair. Most plants either stop bleeding or heal wounds. Yarrow does both. Shortens bleeding time, promotes clotting, reduces inflammation, and fights infection simultaneously. That dual action is genuinely rare. It's the overachiever of herbs. Crush fresh leaves, press onto a cut. Done. Brew the flowers into tea, and it handles fever and digestion too. Grows wild everywhere across North America and Europe. Once you learn to spot it, you can't unsee it. Literally growing in ditches for free. Plant 3, Meadowsweet, the original aspirin. Okay, this one genuinely blew my mind during research. In 1838, chemists isolated salicylic acid from this plant. In 1897, Felix Hoffmann at Bayer used it to create acetylsalicylic acid. They needed a brand name. Meadowsweet's old Latin name was spirea, so they called it Aspirin. Yeah, aspirin, the most used painkiller in human history, named after this plant. And almost nobody knows that. Filipendula ulmaria contains salicylates, same compounds that make aspirin work. People drank it as tea for pain, fever, and inflammation for centuries before any lab existed. But here's the twist. Meadowsweet doesn't cause the stomach irritation that aspirin is famous for. Herbalists actually used it to soothe stomach problems. The synthetic version causes gut issues. The original plant fixes them. Let that sink in. It grows in wet meadows and along streams. Pleasant almond-like aroma. The original medicine we stole from nature, put in a pill, and completely forgot where it came from. Plant 4, Barberry, the ancient antimicrobial. Barberry has been used in Persian, Ayurvedic, and Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years. 2,000! And now modern science is finally catching up. Better late than never, I guess. The reason is a compound called berberine, one of the most studied plant alkaloids in modern pharmacology, and what it does is kind of terrifying for bacteria. Inhibits cell division, disrupts membranes, interferes with DNA synthesis. But here's the part that has researchers excited. Berberine fights antibiotic-resistant bacteria, including MRSA, the superbug that laughs at most modern drugs. Studies show it makes conventional antibiotics effective again against strains that stopped responding. The bright yellow inner bark holds the highest concentration. Intensely bitter taste. With antibiotic resistance being called the silent pandemic of the 21st century, this 2,000-year-old plant is suddenly the most relevant thing in medicine. Ancient healers didn't have microscopes, they just paid attention, and they were right. Plant 5, Comfrey, the bone knitter. The folk name tells you everything you need to know. Knit bone. For centuries, people slapped comfrey root and leaves onto broken bones, sprains, bruises, and torn tissue. And modern science looked into it and basically said, yeah, they were onto something. Comfrey contains allantoin, a compound that tells your cells to multiply and repair damaged tissue faster. And the clinical data backs it hard. Multiple randomized trials confirm topical comfrey extract significantly reduces pain in back injuries, ankle sprains, and osteoarthritis. One trial showed 95% pain reduction with Comfrey. Placebo, 38%. Another put it head-to-head with diclofenac gel, a standard pharmaceutical. Comfrey matched it. A plant matched a drug. External use only though. Contains pyrrolizidine alkaloids that will wreck your liver internally. But as a salve on skin, remarkably safe. Respect the knit bone. Plant 6. Elecampane, the deep lung tonic. When someone had a deep, stubborn chest infection that just refused to quit, this was the plant herbalists pulled out. Elecampane, Inula helenium. Not a quick fix. This is the slow, methodical healer. The deep lung tonic built for the long fight. The thick roots contain sesquiterpene lactones. Research confirms these have cough-calming and antimicrobial effects against respiratory pathogens. Herbalists used it for chronic bronchitis, lingering post-illness coughs, and that chest congestion that just sits there for weeks, making you miserable. Roots are harvested in autumn, dried then simmered into a long decoction and given in small, frequent doses. Weeks of use. It works slowly, rebuilding lung tissue instead of just masking the cough. That's why it got forgotten, honestly. It requires patience. Antibiotics promised faster results, but for chronic respiratory weakness, Elecampane does what antibiotics can't. It doesn't just fight the infection, it rebuilds the battlefield. That distinction matters more than people realize. Plant 7. Self-Heal, the plant that named itself. Our ancestors were so confident in this plant, they literally named it Heal-All, Prunella vulgaris. That's the most arrogant name in all of herbal medicine, and honestly, modern research says they kind of earned it. Studies show Self-Heal has genuine wound healing and anti-inflammatory properties. But here's what gets interesting. It disrupts bacterial biofilms, those protective shields bacteria build that make infections nearly impossible to treat. Even antibiotics struggle with biofilms. Self-Heal just goes after them. Works especially well on mucous membranes, mouth ulcers, canker sores, sore throats. A strong tea used as a gargle brings noticeable relief within hours. The kicker? It grows in lawns and meadows. Purple flower spikes. You've probably mowed over it 100 times without knowing. A legitimate healer hiding right under your feet. Kind of poetic. Plant 8. Plantain weed, the trailside emergency room. Okay, final one, and this is my favorite because of how absurd it is. This is the plant that literally every human being has walked past 1,000 times and never once looked down. Plantain weed. Not the banana, the low-growing weed with oval ribbed leaves and thin flower spikes that grows in every lawn, every trail, every sidewalk crack on Earth. Native Americans called it white man's footprint because it grew everywhere settlers walked. But they quickly figured out it treated cuts, burns, and insect bites better than almost anything else you could find on a trail. A clinical trial found plantain ointment improved second-degree burn healing better than the standard treatment. The leaves contain aucubin and allantoin, compounds that soothe inflammation, stop minor bleeding, and fight infection. The traditional method? Grab a leaf, crush it, press it on the cut or sting. Within minutes, pain and swelling drop. No prescription, no pharmacy, zero cost. We've been trained to think real medicine has to be rare and expensive. This one grows in the cracks of your sidewalk, and it has been sitting at your feet your entire life, just waiting for you to look down. That's 8. But here's the thing, I had to cut 12 more from this list. Plants that treat anxiety, plants that fight infections, one that literally numbs your entire mouth in seconds. If you want that video, let me know in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss it when it drops. See you in the next video.